All right, how's it going, my magnificent sons of bitches? And I've decided to come back and do not really a review because it's really not a review of these shows because really, if anything, I would have probably watched a whole episode of SmackDown because there is more talent on there. Far more talent than there is on Raw. This Raw is unwatchable. All you could do is watch the clips. However, this is me going over. I understand why SmackDown. And it looks like they're doing a lot more with SmackDown, and it makes a lot of sense because SmackDown's on Fox. People are going to actually watch SmackDown, and since Raw, the Raw brand has been dying anyways. Nobody really watches USA anymore, and that's why they're going to end up eventually dropping Raw from the USA Network because really, at the end of the day, first off, who watches USA? Second off, who's going to watch Raw on USA? It just doesn't make any sense. However, with that being said, um, build up for WrestleMania. The Rock is back, so of course I'm going to be a little bit more interested, and I see actual fans coming back to watch this product. That's something that WWE hasn't had in a while is actual fans tuning in because of The Rock. It certainly isn't because of Cody Rhodes or Seth Rollins. Um, it's funny because they brag about having 100 million subscribers, yet you don't even get a million views. So you don't even get 1% of your views, except unless The Rock is on the video or unless it's about The Rock or something to that effect. So I went through the SmackDown archive and whatnot, went through the SmackDown show, and of course, you've got a pretty decent feud going on with AJ Styles, delivers a pretty decent promo. AJ Styles is a main event player. To me, he's kind of like Bret Hart of this generation. You can do a lot with him. He seems to be in feud with the Stone Cold. What Kevin Nash, the talentless fucking Kevin Nash, claims that, oh, LA Knight's a ripoff of The Rock. Motherfucker, if you would have ripped off somebody, then your career would have been a hell of a lot better. But with that being said, it looks like you got AJ Styles in a feud with LA Knight. That's going to be a pretty solid feud. It's going to end up leading into WrestleMania. I don't know what the results are, what the outcome is, and where they're going to rank in the position or whatnot. But like I said, I can sit there and see somewhere where this could be like LA Knight's Stone Cold Steve Austin moment, where he's facing a more talented, determined AJ Styles, and this could be a really, really solid feud. Could be really solid. I like both AJ Styles and I like LA Knight. So, you have Randy Orton, which is probably the second best right now, and maybe even as far as talent wise, the best guy in SmackDown and in WWE as it pertains. Going against Logan Paul. Like I said, right now, the superstar right now, without a shadow of doubt, is Roman Reigns. But if there's anybody out there on this roster that could potentially main event, it would be, of course, Randy Orton. So, you have him getting into this feud with the fucking YouTuber. Somebody who's like, I think it's like the Paul brothers have ultimately hijacked guy sports, trying to look macho and stuff, but you just don't fit in. And like I said, it just dumbs down the sport. And so, it is what it is. I like the fact that maybe Randy ends up beating Logan Paul at WrestleMania, maybe, as if that's a feud going. I would certainly like to see Logan Paul go back to fucking YouTube and walking into the suicide forest in Japan and, doing all this other shit that he did in the drama community that he came from on YouTube. And, and then move on. You know what I'm saying? From Logan Paul. And, Logan Paul to me is the, what's that dude's name? The David Arquette right now. And back in our days, whenever David Arquette won the title, we was like, man, this is fucking stupid. But today's fans are so dumbed down. They're like, oh, Logan Paul came in and he won the title. This is awesome. Just like Jake Paul's going to fight Mike Tyson. So, we could sit there and see that WWE hasn't been trying at all to build any of this stuff. So we get into the segment, and mind you that The Rock's best work has been coming on Twitter and maybe his Instagram. I don't know if these are simultaneously dropped on Twitter and Instagram. Needs to come out on Facebook, to be honest with you, because it's, there's a lot of wrestling groups out there that would take this. However, his best work has been coming on the internet. However, it doesn't take a lot to own Cody, and it doesn't take a lot to own Seth. To be honest with you, they kind of own themselves at the very start of this fucking feud. And I can tell you right now, Seth Rollins is getting owned two ways. He's getting owned by The Rock, and he's getting owned by Drew McIntyre, who is immensely more talented than Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins right now. Now, I'm going to go ahead and set down some of the booking and how I would book this. But first, you get the diarrhea chants, which are stupid garbage. Nobody's going to sit there. And there's more pipes in that fucking crowd than there were at Dustin Reynolds' fucking property at fucking Belle Meade whenever he lived in that trailer park, Cody, there. So I mean, y'all are doing these piped in chants, and you think that the wrestling fans, I mean, your fucking wrestling cucks that cover it on YouTube, they'll go along with anything because they're desperate. You know what I'm saying? However, you get a piped in diarrhea Dwayne type of thing going on, and then immediately Dallas is chanting Rocky, Rocky, because they don't feel comfortable with these fucking piped in chants of these fucking idiots here. Because it makes you look stupid. It makes the crowd look stupid. You know what I'm saying? It makes the wrestling fans. And this is why, wrestling fans don't fuck with the product anymore. This is exactly why. It is because these fucking cucks on YouTube that like your fucking, Sarah Marshall person, these various cucks on here, like Conrad Thomas and all these people that are sitting there saying how awesome Seth Rollins is doing. First off, they're fucking virgins. They're fucking nerds. They're fucking dumb, and they're cheap. That's exactly what they are. They're not really fans. So they're going to go ahead and go along with any kind of lackadaisical. Oh yeah, we like Seth Rollins, just like the Bryan. They're just cheap fans. They're the bottom basement of fucking fans, and they're not really contributing anything. So they're just going to go along with the bullshit, right? They're just going to go along and think that this is fucking cool. Like, oh yeah, Seth Rollins really owned The Rock. He owned The Rock. No, he didn't. And he looks fucking like he looked like he's trying to, what was he trying to look like? Was he trying to look like fucking Jeeper Creeper guy? Whatever it is, the creeper off of Jeepers Creepers, is that what he was going for? Because he failed miserably. He looked like fucking Richard Simmons trying to be the fucking Jeeper Creeper guy. That's what he fucking looked like. And so, everything that they'd never had a chance. Cody and fucking Seth never had a chance against The Rock and Roman. The Rock and Roman are just better, all right? They're more talented, first off. They're bigger draws. They have better charisma, and they're not doing cheap fucking stunts, just flippy floppy stuff. That's just like really kind of a cliche at this point. That's why they're fucking better than you. They're more likable. They have a personality. You motherfuckers don't have a personality. And your fucking fans and your YouTube audience and all these motherfuckers that are hashtag we want Cody are fucking lame. It's never going to get over. And like we saw over there, whenever you're watching the crowds, whenever you're actually looking at the audience, whenever they're, oh, we want Cody, you could tell it's piped in because nobody's chanting the shit. Maybe a quarter, maybe a few people, and those people are probably plants inside for WWE trying to get people invested in Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. You know what? That shouldn't be up to the fucking, crowd plants to get your dumb ass over. You shouldn't have to rely on piped-in chants to get your ass over. If you want to get your ass over, you tell a story. You go ahead and develop a character. You go ahead and develop catchphrases and become entertaining and be able to connect with the fans other than to being fucking lame. And I think part of the problem with this generation, because I won't say this generation because they're not this generation, they're the generation before mine, they're millennials and whatnot, is that they spend too much fucking time playing these fucking Dungeons and Dragons They spend too much time playing these fucking video games. They spend too much time watching fucking anime, and then they go out there and kind of try to implement this shit into a product, and it's not entertaining. They have no personality. They're bland. It's like they're on fucking Ritalin or something. You got Cody Rhodes. Well, let me tell you something. We should step back, and I just want to appreciate, but you should be fucking appreciated because you don't belong in the fucking ring with Roman Reigns and The Rock. You're a mid-carder. You should be feuding. You should be where fucking Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles is. That would be your position. You should be sitting there feuding in a mid-card feud. It shouldn't be AJ Styles. It shouldn't be LA Knight. These guys should be in a main event spot because they have more longevity. They have more experience in the business. They've managed to get themselves over, and they're just fucking better than Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. All right, and this is why you gotta, yeah. And I'm all for that. Fucking LA Knight for champion too, but they're just it's just that's a guy that's over. You got Braun Breaker coming in, and they've got to protect him. They've got to build him right. They can't do what they did with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. You can't just push these motherfuckers out there, fucking Paul. You can't push the motherfuckers and expect everybody to say, oh, yeah, they're because they've never been built properly. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you some booking ideas that I think I would do looking at this generic ass, ridiculous ass. The only thing good about this fucking WrestleMania is The Rock. And to be honest with you, if Seth Rollins and fucking Cody Rhodes really cared about the business, truly 110%, they would get buried. They would get squashed. You know what I'm saying? Right now as it is. I would keep Cody off of TV until I could build him a character for at least a year. You know what I'm saying? At least a year. Just to build him a character. Do I think I could get them legitimately over instead of having piped in chants and having fucking plants inside? Because everybody knows that you have fucking NXT talent and shit like that, plants inside, people that are in the fucking factory that are working their way up through the indies. We know you got these motherfuckers in the crowd. We know this because we see them. Even like you have John Cena over there and CM Punk riding on his fucking car whenever he's coming out because he was an indie fucking guy. We know that these guys are in the crowd. We know that they're used to go ahead and get over whoever the fuck they're trying to get over. But if somebody couldn't get over, all of a sudden, they would go down the card. They would be sent down the card, and the next guy up would be the guy that you would go ahead and try to get over until you found the guy. Cody Rhodes isn't this guy. Seth Rollins isn't this guy. They look like, to a degree, they look like a little bit of nepotism, to be honest with you. Is what it looks like, because they're never going to get over, because you have never developed them. So, I'm going to give you a few scenarios on how I would do this and how I would write this to go ahead and make this work a little bit better, to go ahead and get the ratings in that WWE desperately fucking needs. They definitely need ratings to go up. They can't sit there and run with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins and expect ratings not to fucking drop down to that of A&W Wrestling, which is exactly where fucking Cody came from. So I'll go from my least favorite to my most favorite. Okay. Now, I do like Drew McIntyre, but really they've kind of half-assed Drew McIntyre, and it's kind of like feeling rushed, right? So, this is going to be my least favorite one, or, the one, if I was to book it, this would be the last choice, only because they really haven't built this, and it's been like a spur-of-the-moment thing, and, Drew's doing a good job for what he's been given. I just would have went a different direction, and I would already have a storyline set up instead of flinging shit on the wall and praying for it to stick, just like fucking Hunter has done. Drew needs to give up the stupid sword gimmick. Yeah. So this is my first. This would be my least favorite. This would be the last one that I would do. This is the last one I would go with. This would be my last idea that I would pitch. This would be the least one that I would probably go with going out the door. So, you've got Drew McIntyre there, right? He's trolling the fuck out of Seth Rollins. He's like, Seth Rollins has to interject himself. He's like the fucking P. Diddy of WWE. Somebody's getting some, attention. Somebody's getting that's not him. He's going to fucking worm his way and weasel his way into the main event spot. That's what Seth Rollins does. He's going to find a way to go ahead and he's like fucking Triple H, to be honest with you. Doesn't have the all-out talent to be in that position, but desperately wants to get as much, attention on himself. The only thing is that Seth Rollins has less talent than Triple H had. At least Triple H could talk. At least he could tell a story. Fucking Seth Rollins doesn't have any of that. He doesn't even have a fucking fan base. So, with that being said, I would have Drew McIntyre, right? You have The Rock and Roman Reigns. They end up, say, winning at the first show, right? Like they've got it planned out. And I have Drew McIntyre helping them out. Drew McIntyre beats Cody or Seth Rollins, becomes the with the help of The Rock, he ends up becoming the World Heavyweight Champion, and he joins The Rock and the stable. He starts his own stable as the corporate champion on the Raw side. You give him a few pieces around him, and then maybe Bobby Lashley, because I know him and Bobby Lashley have had history. And then, give him a couple of pieces around him to protect him, and he's your corporate champion, like The Rock was a corporate champion. So now you've got the corporate bloodline. You have Roman Reigns, and then you have them all show up in three-piece suits, acting cool. However, this would have been the original direction I would have went to it. Instead of Drew McIntyre winning, and the reason why is because I know that Bobby Lashley could pull this off. Instead of having Drew McIntyre win at the Elimination Chamber, I would have had Bobby Lashley win at the Elimination Chamber and do the same exact storyline, except with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. So instead of Drew McIntyre becoming the corporate champion, now you have, and I don't know if a lot of you may not have watched TNA, but you remember, whenever fucking Bobby Lashley was collecting all the titles, and he's like, yeah, you know what? You're all cheering for your super favorite people, but understand that he was a legit badass, and he was just going around collecting fucking titles and trolling the fuck out of the fans. That's who I use as my corporate champ. The Rock gets with Bobby Lashley. He goes, man, you're a very talented dude. I like watching you in Bellator. Your fight with, and showing how they're really, really kind of friendly with each other. Talking about his fight with Bob Sapp and, really going into his Bellator career and how he has the most talent on this roster and what's he doing on this roster with these jobbers like Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. You could beat any one of them. So the reason why I like Bobby in this role a little bit more is because later on, if you want to have a feud between Bobby and Roman, you can, because I don't believe that Bobby has ever lost to Roman. And that would be a pretty decent feud. We know that fucking Paul has not booked Bobby Lashley right. He did give him a victory over Brock Lesnar, but the writing and the creative just needs to go for Raw. And I'm just being real. And a lot of these motherfuckers really should be losing their jobs, but it is what it is. And so, I would run with Bobby Lashley coming out in his three-piece suit. I go ahead and give him, the Street Profits. They come out now. They're the corporate champions. They're maybe you give them the tag team champions. They're a part of the corporation. Now you got your corporate champions here, and you got Bobby Lashley. You've got the Bloodline on SmackDown, and you've got your corporate bloodline. I go ahead and bring back MVP to go ahead and be the Paul Heyman for Bobby Lashley, and then that's how I'll run it with it. And I have The Rock as the fucking the CEO of the whole thing. He's the owner. He's the operator. What The Rock says goes. I take Cody off I take Cody off TV for a while in this scenario, and I also take Seth Rollins off of TV for at least a little bit. I think really at the end of the day, you're going to put Seth Rollins back into a tag team, much like the Shield. So, he doesn't have to sit there and carry, Yeah, Lashley, MVP, and King Kenny were great in TNA, and that's the exact thing that I would do. I would bring those guys in, and build I have the corporate champions here, the corporate champion, then I have the bloodline. So, you have the corporate bloodline. That's how I'd work it. And I know that Lashley could do it because we've already seen Lashley do this. So that would be my next to last choice. Now this one, really you could flip number 2 and number 3. I would be just as happy with Lashley being the corporate champion as I would be with this. This would be the only way that you could probably keep Seth Rollins relevant, to be honest with you. So you have Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Night 1, they lose to The Rock and they lose to Roman Reigns. Or no, they beat The Rock and Roman Reigns. They end up beating The Rock and Roman Reigns night 1. They end up going. Bloodline's not going to interfere. Remember that. The Bloodline can't interfere. It's not going to be Bloodline rules. It's going to be Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns 1-on-1. So that's what happens. Cody and Seth Rollins end up winning, right? So you have Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. And, it's a back and forth match, but it looks like Drew's about to win. All of a sudden, out of the rafters comes Dean Ambrose. Yeah, John Moxley, from A&W Wrestling, but we all know that they were in the Shield together. And then John Moxley comes out, helps his buddy Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins ends up retaining the title, right? So then you get the final match, and you get Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. And Cody Rhodes is giving it his all. It looks like he's about to win. All of a sudden, both Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins come out. Everybody thinks that they're going to fucking help Cody Rhodes. All of a sudden, they turn their back on Cody Rhodes. They beat the hell out of Cody Rhodes. Roman gets the 1, 2, 3, and you have the Shield reforming. And then you have them celebrating the next night with The Rock, saying, oh, yeah, that jobber didn't deserve it. And that's really the only way that you're going to be able to keep Seth relevant, to be honest with you. Now, the first one that I would like to see happen, because let's be honest, Paul he fucked up all of WrestleMania. He fucked it up. So, this is horrible booking. This is horrible writing. And it's generic, and I see that they're trying to work it out. But, it's just, the writing is so terrible. It's just so terrible. It's lazy. It's hard for real fans that you're wanting to get under these fucking computer versions that you have as fans right now. It's hard for real fans to get invested in this shit, You only got sycophants and people who watched it for a while, but real fans don't care to see this shit. So, how I would have booked this, right? And this would be my first choice, is that you get Seth Rollins versus The Rock somehow. Just make it happen where it's like, oh yeah, you know what? You like to talk shit. You want to talk shit about Dwayne. Well, fucking Drew McIntyre says, you know what? I'll go ahead and save my title shot for a later date on my terms. I'll go ahead and step aside and go ahead and let The Rock beat his ass. Then you go ahead and let The Rock beat Seth Rollins, have Seth Rollins lose the title, and The Rock wins the world title, and then have Roman Reigns go ahead, squash Cody, just like he said, you didn't belong in the ring with him. He ends up squashing Cody, and then later on, maybe at next year's WrestleMania, you have world title versus WWE title, The Rock versus Roman Reigns. And, Kami Cody. It's exactly what it is. And they don't put any effort. That's the problem, is that these guys didn't have to work for anything. They didn't have to work. Granted, they work out and they stay in great shape. I'll give you that much. But you put very little fucking effort into the product trying to be likable at all, trying to develop a character. Oh, you can do backflips. That's fucking great. You can jump off and you can take bumps. That's fine. You're supposed to be able to do that shit. But the sheer fact is that you really haven't gotten over with the crowd organically. You haven't gotten a fan base. The ratings keep on going down. And if you can't bring in a fan base, If you're not going to go ahead and develop your character, you go back down to the mid cards. That's just the way that it goes. So, anyways, you people tell me what you think. How would you book WrestleMania? How would you book this shit for yourself? Um, I just think that the writing and everything is terrible in it, and I think it could be done a lot better. And mind you, I could probably come up with something that, Cody could develop into a main event talent that people would want to come and watch. But it's going to take a hell of a lot more time than just coming back in, winning a couple of fucking WrestleManias, and finishing your stupid ass story that nobody cares about because you have to fucking sub to Cody fucking Rhodes on Twitter to understand the fucking story. It's not going to it's not going to compute to a general audience. So, anyways, you people tell me what you think. You like, sub, follow, friend, do the shit the internet tells me to do to get over. And for now, I'm out.